Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the 90. Very, very special guest for a very special preview. Again, coming into probably one of the most informed teams in the Premier League. We've got Ali over from, again, if you've paid attention to the channel for a while, you know about Ali's been one of the first guests on the channel. Ali, it's great to have you back, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm very well. We've got Super Pat Vieira. He knows exactly what we need. Mitchell at the back, Elise in attack. Palace are on their way to Wembley. And that pretty much sums up how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just speaking off camera. I mean, unbeaten in 7. Patrick Vieira seems like he's clicked. We'll get onto all that a bit later. But the most important thing, let's talk about the previous result. Arsenal 0, well, Crystal Palace 3, Arsenal 0. I mean, that must have been a phenomenal result for you guys. You've smashed both North London teams 3-0 now.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I don't think Ty is very happy with me still. Someone said to me today that he was going on about me in the show or something. Yeah, mate, it was a massive buzz, like straight from the off. We were very intense, and we didn't like. People talk about Arsenal playing badly, but we just didn't give them a chance to get into it. We pressed them really high. Conor Gallagher at the forefront of that. He's been at the forefront of everything all season. 1-0 up, great. 2-0 up, absolute ecstasy. And then obviously Wolf with the 3-0 and then straight on to AFTV afterwards, which was joyful.
So yeah, well, Vieira's managed to get it sorted, to be honest. It seems like everything's kind of clicking at the moment. You're unbeaten in 7. I mean, just tell me about the team and Vieira and how things are working out for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last 7 games, I think the one thing that has changed in particular, I mean, we've been playing very well all season, but there were some real frustrations earlier on in the season with some of the points that we threw away, and we met at the end of games, we didn't see them out. We defended quite naively. I guess the Man City at home game where we drew 0-0 and saw that out is the embodiment of this sort of new steel I see in this team. This team's really growing now. And I guess if you look at our home fixture, against you, that was a frustrating one where we let in a few silly goals against you early on. To be honest with you, I felt like that was another game we should have got 3 points from.
Yeah.
But in terms of the whole season and what's going on at the moment, the buzz is absolutely massive around the club and this team because the depth of talent in this team is unreal.
And it just seems to have clicked again. We've got a young. I think I was saying to you in reverse, you give it time, and you've seen the frustrating bits. You're like, if we could just fix up these little bits, it should be fine. And I mean, who also? Again, we've mentioned some of them because again, some of the young, exciting talent that you've got is incredible. But who are some of the players to look out for? Because I've got a few down, but literally could name the entire team because there's so many great young players.
Yeah, listen, I think. Obviously, Conor Gallagher comes to mind, but he's been spoken about a lot. I thought he was man of the match when he played for England on the Saturday game. Not the one against Ivory Coast, the other one, I think it was against Switzerland. I thought he was man of the match for England that day. He's been obviously at the forefront. Wilfred Zaha is always there. He's got into double figures again. The new guys, Mark Gahey, Chelsea have made a massive mistake in letting him go, particularly when you think about some of their defenders coming out of contract. England under-21 captain, called up for England. I thought he was very comfortable when he made his debut alongside Ben White. I thought he looked more comfortable alongside Ben White. A lot of Arsenal fans saying Ben White's better than Gahey. I think on Monday night I proved that Gahey's a better player. I'd go as far as say with Gahey, I know Leicester fans will probably disagree with this, but I think Maguire and Stones are hard to dislodge purely based on what they've done for England, particularly the Euros. But if it's a back 3, I can see Gahey starting in the World Cup. He's that good. The other one, Tyrick Mitchell, he's, as I said on AFTV the other night, which are words which are still haunting Ty. I don't think Saka's left his pocket yet. I think I read somewhere the other day that a Palace fan saying the only guy who's got the better of Mitchell this season seems to be Salah. And then, the talent everywhere. I mean, other guys get mentioned, even not a younger player, but Kiate has been exceptional this season. Played centre-back last season. I think that's improved his positional sense as an anchor man in the midfield. Won the African Nations with Senegal. Michael Elise. I don't think Michael Elise will play because of an injury. I think we're nursing him for Wembley for the semi. And then the real wild card in our team is Mateta, who scored against Arsenal, a player who a lot of Palace fans were saying needs to go back after his loan spell, and then we signed him. He's really hit a form, but he's very unpredictable to play against. He'll either do something terrible or then do something fantastic. He's hard to read. The talent is I think, to sum up, we got to the FA Cup final in 2016 with the Yannick Bolasie and Zaha either side of the wings teams and Mile Jedinak. That was a fantastic team, but this team is even better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the thing is, next year you're only going to get stronger with these young players as well. I mean, Mateta, I remember you saying in the beginning, when we played against you, yeah, he's on his way out. Edouard's on his way in. Edouard can't get into the side now, and it's funny you say that, Mateta. That's kind of how we see Kelechi Iheanacho, complete wild card. Sometimes he doesn't know what he's going to do, but he manages to get the goal, and it's something that gets celebrated. But he's one of those players where I don't know if it's the same with Mateta, but he's incredibly frustrating. But then he just turns up and gets the ball, and everybody forgets about what happened for the past 60 minutes or so.
Yeah, you just got with Matej. I think, like you said, you just got to accept the rough with the smooth, and the form he's on at the moment, you got to accept it. But when it's Wilfried Zaha, Elise, and Mateta, how do you read that front line? Because they're all so unpredictable. I mean, he's becoming a real cult hero. I don't know if you've seen Mateta's celebration, but he kicks the corner flag when he scores, and yeah, boom, 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 Mateta's in the room. There ain't no striker better than Jean-Philippe Mateta. But I mean, it's crazy what you've just said there. We haven't even talked about Edouard or Eze.
Yeah, I was just going to get onto Eze as well. Well, both of them, since you were saying, but obviously Eze is coming back from injury, and a lot of again, nobody wants to see an ACL happen to any kind of player, but especially a young talent like Eze. And yeah, I remember when we beat you guys about this time last year, and during kind of lockdown, where Eze was just running ragged along that right hand side. How's he not getting back into the team?
The timing of that injury was so cruel because allegedly he had been called up for England that day for the provisional Euro squad. I don't think he would have made the actual Euro squad. I think he was one of those ones being brought in for a bit of an experience. Do you know what? I was getting a bit worried about him, and a few Palace fans were starting to say maybe he should have gone on loan, but he was very, very good against Everton. He started in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. He had a great game. And was instrumental in a few goals, and we ran riot that day. But I think he potentially could start in the semi-final of the FA Cup with Gallagher not being able to play, being ineligible because it's against his parent club. So you could see Eze again in the FA Cup semi-final.
That could be interesting as well. Interesting again. Not that I don't want to mention Gallagher. I think Gallagher's a good player, but again, I think he gets a lot of the plaudits where people like Mitchell. Again, I think you've told me about Mitchell, and I've been watching him closely since. And yeah, he's a right. He's just, for somebody that he's young. I think we have that with He's similar to Luke Thomas in the so he can get forward. He's quite quick. He's got a job, but I think his mentality and how he plays somebody that's more mature than his actual age.
Yeah, I still think he can get even better. I still think like his attacking play, which is so important for fullbacks now, can improve a little bit more. There's scope for improvement there, but he, like I said, any players rarely get past him. It's only really Salah who's had the better of him this season, and yeah, he's just relentless. Like the word I'd use to describe our team at the moment is relentless. Like the pressing against Arsenal was just extreme. Like Conor Gallagher, I know, is like a Duracell battery, doesn't stop going. And the same for Mitchell. He's just up and down that left-hand side and locking down players of a higher caliber, like such as Saka the other night. Yeah, Mitchell was going to go right to top. But the other thing is, like, our academy is so good. Like our under-18s beat Arsenal 5-0 the other week. There's actually another really promising left back, Tayo, coming through, who is just as promising as Mitchell. I think he's a bit better attacking, and I don't know what they're going to do because they've got two highly talented left backs there. I almost feel like they'll give Mitchell another season or two, sell him for 50 million plus, like we did with Wan-Bissaka. Not that I want to see him sold and then bring Tayo through, just because it would be good business sense. But it's not just the current crop. There's another crop waiting to come through, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Because our under 18 is good, but still, I think you beat us 5-0 recently as well. Yeah, so I mean, really top talent there.
The internet's as shaky as your defense this season, really.
Vieira, has everything finally clicked for him as well?
Yeah, listen, look, Vieira got written off so much at the start of the season. I mean, 442 predicted us to finish 20th, which was outrageous considering Zaha guarantees you 17th. Listen, the thing that I'd say about Vieira is you'll talk about the style and flip 360 really by him from what it was under Hodgson. But the word I'd use to describe Vieira is humble. And that might sound strange, but as he's come into our club and every single facet of our club, he's built really strong relationships. And from what you hear in the training ground, he's, making the time to speak to the people in the kitchen, the security staff. There's a fantastic atmosphere around the club right now. But in particular, the connections that he's built with the players and every single type of player within that squad. The young players, obviously, we've spoken about Gahey, Mitchell. He's yielding the best out of them. The elder statesmen within the squad, such as Joel Ward, Nathaniel Klein. I mean, guys like Joel Ward have won promotions with the club. They're proper Palace people. They're not easy to win over. These are the guys that Frank de Boer allegedly lost very early on in his ill-fated reign. And then the more complicated characters like Wilfred Zaha. Everybody saw Zaha running over to him, celebrating away at Norwich. He's built such strong connections with the squad. And I think that's what makes me really, really think he's going to go on and have a really strong career in management, because not all players of that caliber of who have illustrious careers like Vieira can build a relationship and understand the modern player. I mean, Roy Keane's probably a shining example of that. He's like become the pantomime villain at Sky Sports because he's criticizing the modern player every week. And I think that doesn't get spoken about as much as the playing style, but his man management skills have been a real key to this as well.
And we've seen that with Brendan Rodgers, obviously not as much recently, but we've seen how on a one-to-one basis, I've never really seen it before with a manager, or not really paid attention that much to football, where I've seen that much attention to one player and taking them on to the next level. And again, this team is young and they're only going to get better the more time. And again, another preseason under the belt. Hopefully, again, after we're speaking about it as well, you guys can go all the way for the FA Cup as well, because I'm rooting for you.
I think everyone was going to root for us against that, the Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City. I think everyone wants Palace to do it. It's going to be really, really tough. I mean, come on. Chelsea lost tonight. Chelsea lost to Brentford, but they will go in firm favourites. But we've shown the season we can mix up with everyone. Obviously, the negative for us is Conor Gallagher can't play in that because that's his parent club. But we've got other players who can come in. The squad is really, really vast. I tell you who's actually playing really well at the moment and getting in the team in a central midfield role is your boy Schlupp.
He was on my list to ask you about. So, yeah, feel free to take away about the Schlupp, because I'm all here for the Schlupp prop.
Mate, like, I was getting to the point where I hated him in central midfield. It's like, so we went through a bit of it. Like, everyone in December went through this COVID point, and Schlupp was being used in central midfield. Like, he's definitely going to come out. He kept using him. Like, Vieira likes him. The last 7 games, the only game he's not really played was the one he was suspended for, which was the FA Cup quarter-final. His positional sense has improved loads. He's really, really key to countering and breaking away. He's honestly playing very, very well. And there's quite a few Palace fans who were grown if he's put in that central midfield role, who are changing their tune, because he's in really good form right now, and he should be playing. He should be playing at the weekend. I expect him to start.
Interesting again. So again, I would say he's against his old club, but since 2016, we've pretty much had a overhaul. So it's just Schmeichel, Vardy, Daniel Amati, and Marco Brighton left, because they've all changed since he left.
He was in the title-winning squad, wasn't he?
He was, yes. Yeah, so we were using him as, again, he's been all over the place. I think we were using him as I think the first game we played for the under-23s, he got a hat-trick, and we were thinking, who the hell's this guy? And then he played left back for us when Christian Fuchs was injured. We played him left back, and he was unbelievably rapid and getting up the pitch, and physicality. He's a truly physical player, but his end product was something that always let him down from a Leicester perspective.
I think that's why Vieira likes him, is he's very intense physically and very, very fit and very, very up and down. And like I was saying to you, in the Arsenal game, everybody saw our pressing was so intense, and he's very good at that. He's relentless as well, like Conor Gallagher. But I think he's got much better at off the ball. That's something that Vieira said he's worked on with players like Wilfred Zaha, but off the ball and positionally, he looks much, much more savvy in that central midfield role. And I don't know, he might have the position till the end of the season, and it's his shirt to lose at the moment.
Yeah, I mean that is crazy to think as well, because considering I thought him more of a squad player, and considering where he was playing Riedewald alongside, like, and that's where I saw him in terms of the game. But it's massively changed. It just, again, something we have to speak about. Again, we've spoken about it briefly, but I just want to talk about that. Having 3 players from your squad that gets called up to England, how was that feeling for you? Because that must be unbelievable.
Yeah, but more players from Palace were called up to the last England squad than Man United. Yeah, just incredibly proud. Mitchell come through our academy, so that's obviously a really proud moment. Gahey is such a likable character and such a talented guy. I mean, he's actually captain of us at the moment. Our club captain, Luka Milivojevic, doesn't really play. And that speaks volumes of the maturity and the trust that managers see him in Gahey. And then Gallagher, to be honest, like they say, don't fall in love with a lone player, but it's really hard not to. He's really taken to our club and the fans, and he feels like one of our own. And let's be honest, we've done more to develop him, far more than Chelsea have. They just herd their players out like cattle. And he deserves that call up, and he's got that call up on the back of, he's a very different player to the one he was at West Brom on loan last season. He did okay at West Brom, but nothing like this. I think it's an interesting one. I think if you look back at Frank Lampard's time at Chelsea and before at Derby, you can criticise, but he really brought on Mason Mount, and that no coincidence. They're same position. I think Vieira as a central midfielder has been brilliant influence on Gallagher. Again, going to go right to the top. Him and Gahey, I think they'll both be in the World Cup squad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping so.
I think Mitchell's got a good chance. I think it's a bit tougher for him at left back because you got Luke Shaw, and then you got your old friend Chilwell.
And Man United are all over the place.
Yeah, but I like to think Mitchell's got a good chance. He's definitely an England squad player for the future.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And again, I want to see players like this given a chance instead of the usual kind of players, and even players, again, because it's going to be in the winter time, potentially going to see a couple of Leicester players. But I was quite semi disappointed. I was disappointed for a little bit, as you know, England managers don't pick players that much outside the top 6. I'm glad the Southgate is for you guys, but the fact that Smith Rowe was called up over Maddison, I was a little bit annoyed, and I went, do you know what? I've got 2 weeks break. No problem. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, and then they come back injured. Like Elise got called up for French under 21, which is great. Another international call up, and then he comes back injured. So it swings and roundabouts. I know what you're saying about Smith Rowe, but then he has got 11 goals and played predominantly off the bench. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think Southgate's breaking some of the mold with it. I guess Maddison been injured a bit as well this season. I do really like Maddison though. I thought he played very, very well against Man United the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard against Man United. They were genuinely that bad. But yeah, Maddison's kind of firing. Kelechi Iheanacho's firing. There's quite defensively, we're shoring up, because I remember, again, we touched on it briefly at the beginning, but I think you saw in that match in the reverse fixture how bad we were defensive, and just all it was. We've described it on this channel as free flow football, where every man for himself, pretty much. It was a Wild West in terms of our defense. But again, I agree. You were lucky. You were unlucky to not get 3 points in that game, because we just about hung on. But it was more because you missed your opportunities than we defended well.
Yeah, I think we probably gave at least one soft goal away, if I remember rightly. It wasn't a great. It was kind of a good game, but in terms of like the back and forth of it, but in terms of quality, I don't think either team really played that well that day. Yeah, I mean, your defense has been impacted a lot by injuries. I remember when you got the Fofana injury earlier on in the season, I thought they're in a bit of trouble here with that one. But yeah, it wasn't a game of great quality, that one. I think this game at the weekend is going to be a much, much better game, because you seem to be playing much better. We're in a really good moment. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. I think there's goals in this.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be a similar. I'm sure we'll come on to predictions, so I don't want to do a spoiler, but I think it's going to be a similar scoreline.
I mean, considering, again, where we are, I'll try and bring up the table, but I don't trust my internet at the moment. But just say where we are, Palace are actually ahead of us. You've got 37 points. We're on 37 as well. They've got 4 goal difference. We've got -4 goal difference. So coming in, I guess we've got a couple of games in hand at the moment, but I mean, this little group that we're in with us, you must be happy about, or we'll get into the second, and then Aston Villa, Southampton, and then your arch nemesis Brighton as well. Just can't get a break at all.
Brighton are Brighton are 7 games without a win.
And your
Yeah,
win,
yeah.
and
I mean, they
was it
give it
what?
out so much at the start of the season. They really do. They were talking about Europe and all of this, and they get so cocky. They never learn, bless them. I wouldn't really talk about Brighton in terms of top 10, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the amazing thing, isn't it? That we're talking about fighting for the top 10, because I remember we started doing podcasts at the beginning of lockdowns, and every year it's been like, well, you're going for top 4 and we're going for 13th. Like, to
Yeah,
be talking to
not
you
getting
about
relegated.
vying for the same league positions shows how fortunes have changed around.
Yeah.
I think we've got a very realistic chance of the top 10, and that's why I don't think we will be just turning our attention to the FA Cup, and that's not in Vieira's nature anyway. The guy is an absolute winner. Like, he wants to win every
Hmm.
game. Previous times, Hodgson might have turned up looking for a draw. We'll be turning up looking for 3 points. He wants to kick on. He will want top 10. As a club, it would be a real statement of intent and progression if we get it.
Hmm.
It's hard because there's good teams around. Like, you look at that, Villa have thrown money at it, got Coutinho
Yeah.
on loan. You've got the games in hand in your favour. So I think it will be tough, but our form recently suggests there's every chance we can do it.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm thinking the same thing about your end in terms of, again. I think we've got our run is relative. Again, we've lost against Arsenal, but apart from that, I think we're got 4 or 5 wins in the last 6 games or something. So it's similar coming into it. And what you're saying about Palace, I think we're saying exactly the same thing about Leicester. Well, we without saying too egotistical, we need to be fighting for that 9th spot, even though we're in the Conference League. And yes, that will be probably our best route into Europe, because we're probably not going to get up there. There's too much of a gap. But I think we're going to go for it as well. So I think as a neutral, I know it's not on television, it's going to be a great watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Rodgers will want to keep the positivity going and end the season on a good note, won't he? And I think it would be a good signal for you guys if you finished in the top 10, because that's kind of been the standard you've set over the last few years. Obviously, you set higher standard going for the top 4. But if you got top 10, I think Rodgers would think, okay, at least you got the top 10 and we're ending on that note. Bottom half for you would be a real sort of like symbolic thing of like regression.
Yeah.
I think if you got top 10, I think the Conference League is offering you a real hope of saving your season.
Yeah.
And you
that's what we're.
it's very realistic to win, because I've won it on Football Manager at Palace.
Well, if that's the case, hopefully that's a good omen to get us through to the final. Because
give you all hope. But I mean, you've got PSV. I think that'll be hard, won't it? But I know Roma are still in it, Mourinho, but Rodgers come up Mourinho a few times. It's achievable and winnable. And I think what the Europa Conference does for you guys is give you an opportunity to reset. Because if you won that, then you're back in the Europa League and you're where you were at the start of the season with your players back from injury. And I think for me, the disappointing thing about Leicester this season, I always thought it'd be hard for you to replicate it in the league. I thought it was incredible you went for top 4 again after missing out of it. And to go again, I thought it'd be difficult, because really and truly, you should have got top 4 last season. I don't want to go open up those wounds for you. But the disappointment for me was your Europa League run, because I think that could have been a real sign of progression for you guys to go deep into Europe. But it was a real flop of a campaign, wasn't it? And I think you could start the season again in the Europa League and right the wrongs in that competition. I think you probably all feel a little bit better about yourselves again.
We're hoping so as well, especially since we've got, again, players like Johnny Evans coming back, a massive centre back for us as well. We've got Wes Fofana coming back, Castagne's going to get more matches, James Justin, Ricardo's coming back. So defensively, we are starting to solidify. But again, they're still, if you found out with like the likes of Eze, it takes time for them to build in. I'm not expecting them to go right 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. It's going to take time for them to build into the games.
It's almost like you want to get them back, as sort of in a way it's preparing for next season before you really go again. But obviously, if you can win the Europa Conference on the way to that, it would be kind of nice.
Yeah,
Your injuries have been massive. I remember like reading the Fofana injury, thinking that's a bad one so early in the season. That's
it was
going
a
to really impact.
friendly. There was
Yeah,
no need for that kind of leg break, and we had a post match after that, and we just all sat there and go, "This is one of," and especially when if something like that happened to Mitchell, I know he comes
yeah,
from the academy, but you're like, this is a guy that's got so much talent and is going to go on to great things, and yeah,
yeah.
it was a real frustrating one.
Yeah, I guess we've been quite lucky this season. We've avoided
Mm.
injuries on the whole. We're very, very worried after the international breaks. We had Wilfred Zaha and Elise come back, but they seem just to be niggly injuries. But obviously, the worry for us is the FA Cup semi coming so soon. But
Yeah.
on the whole, this season, we've been all right on injuries. And touch wood, it stays like that.
Let's hope so. Again, I'm hoping that you guys finish higher at the table as well. Hopefully, if we'd finish above, but again, you guys as well. Anybody outside the top four, pretty much, just try and West Ham. Hopefully, they go and do some bits as well, just kind of, and Wolves as well. I'm hoping for them too. One thing, a couple of other things to mention as well, just before we finish up.
Mm.
The five sub rule. I wanted to get your
Oh,
thoughts on that as well for next season.
but mate, this is me and you have talked about an idea for a podcast, which I'm not going to name on here, but we should really do it because it gives a voice to those fans. It's ridiculous, mate. It's like Jurgen Klopp's whinging and crying and whining has
About
finally,
Burnley.
just finally ground down the Premier League. Like
Mm.
the five sub rule, I don't like it. I forget the fact it gives the bigger teams an advantage. I just don't like it in terms of a sport. Like it ruins the rhythm and the flow of the game. It becomes like an international friendly.
Mm.
I just no. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, and the wrong people are getting too much of a say in football now.
It's always been the case. So being too cynical, that's it. So I kind of agree there.
I don't think the thing is, I don't think everyone's going to use it all the time because, like I said, it's a
No,
double-edged sword thing. Because you suddenly change too many of your players, you lose the rhythm. So,
yeah,
but it's definitely more in favour of the bigger teams, isn't it?
yeah, definitely so. And the other thing as well, obviously, since we last spoke as well, we've managed to get one of your doctors in as well. Because again, this is part of the reason why Brennan, we've kind of we've got the medical staff, we've got one of yours in. I know obviously it's a bit out there, but I know we spoke a little bit on Twitter about it, but what can you tell us about him?
I don't really know much, and if it's the same doctor that was in charge of our team last season, we had quite a few injuries, whereas this season we haven't. So when did he? What date did he join you?
I have no idea. I forgot. I'm not going to lie. It was sometime
To
this
be,
a couple of months or so ago.
to be honest with you, mate, the injury record's been much better this season.
Fair
Maybe since
enough.
he's gone, it might not be the best thing for you. We did have a
Fair
lot
enough.
older players last season, though. That's the thing. We had the
Mm,
likes of Gary Cahill coming to the end of their career, so he probably had a few more people to nurse through. I can't say that I know too much about him.
fair enough. No worries. Ali, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I've left a link in the description, but feel free to plug away as well.
Yeah, no, he's a Pride of South London fan TV. Yeah, come and check it out. Palace videos, things on Wilfred Zaha, reviews, previews, band clips. Yeah, come and subscribe and for me and my gnome.
And I promise you, his internet's a lot better than mine. So we've been trying to get this sorted for the last hour or so. Ali, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Best of
Yeah,
luck for the rest
always
of the
brilliant.
season, apart from the game that we're going to
Yeah,
play.
but I don't know. Actually, I don't really want to wish you luck this time because I want to finish it. We're actually kind of competing now. I want to finish above you. So
Yeah,
yeah, kind of wish you luck. Not too much.
fair enough. It's mutual. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
absolutely.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you've enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll cut out before my internet cuts out, and we'll see everybody in the next video.